relationships because they see the potential financially within that person. They don't really look at the actual person, their personality traits, whether good or bad. They don't look into those things at all. So then you're 5 years down the line and the money's gone, let's just say hypothetically, and you're left with that core of a person that you just really don't like.
You don't like? You just like your money.
Yeah.
And this is where my interest, and you talk about relationships, that it takes you into a different era. I mean, aside from loving the person, caring for the person, there has to be something outside of that wall that most people, and I dare say, let's start on this fundamental, that you have to have God in your relationship. I don't care how big a person you think you are.
Amen.
No matter how good you think you're good at relationships, and you spiral from Google to Google with how you know how to treat your relationship, it cannot be successful without God in it. And I say that without apology.
And I mean, that is right, because even if you're single, like, you still need God in your life, because there's so many temptations out there that can distract you from your ultimate goal, whatever that may be. You get displacent with whatever you need to do in your life, and it goes the same for relationships. If you both aren't having this spiritual connection with each other and God, then I can see your relationship not working out so well, or you're going to have a lot of problems. Because you both are kind of more or less lost souls, and two lost souls can't find a path to go down. So I can't see why a relationship that is without God would work, because obviously money is a physical thing. It doesn't last forever. Our bodies, our physical image doesn't last forever. So all we're left with is more or less a sack of bones and a lost soul. And if you guys aren't working together spiritually and mentally, then you're gonna have a lot of these problems that Paul is mentioning.
Josh, I saw you were ready to go. I mean, what were your thoughts on that?
I don't know, like, I'm just kind of like, I'm young. I've only been in like one real relationship so far. So I'm trying to understand of like how a long-term relationship would work. So from what I'm understanding, right, is like, in addition to the two partners, like, you'd also need something else. First we mentioned money being like another thing, another aspect of the relationship, and then you mentioned God. So what I understand is like, you have the two people, and then you also need some third factor that serves as like a foundation. So, or saying that, like, I'm gonna say that some people make is that, like, instead of saying God as their foundation, they always said money as the foundation, or something else as the foundation of the relationship. And you're saying that, like, when you say that you need God in the relationship, or you're saying that, like, if you have God as set as a foundation, that makes like, that will like help you get through the problems.
100%. It is without saying, because understanding this, a partner that experiences God and knows God and knows what God can do for you in the worst of circumstances, before they quit, they go back to God. A person who does not have that fundamental basis on their relationship, the first thing they do when problem strikes is to run away, as against coming together how God would do it and say, hey, let's put this factor together and make it happen. You understand? So it is definitely the fundamental for relationships, because if you don't, it will shake and break. And I'm not saying your relationship won't work if you don't involve God in it, but for how long though? You see what I'm saying? Is you still got to put God somewhere into that equation. I'm not saying that every day you want to hold hands with your partner and pray, which would be awesome, because that's power. Oh my God. But there needs to be that time that you both separate, for the family, for yourself, for the entire relationship itself that you don't at no point. Because the minute you get that opportunity to sail on your own without God, you're at so much risk, you're at so much exposure that you will not be able to contain some of the what I'll call the category 7s that will come. And that's why a lot of relationship breaks so easily, because they forget God. Maybe you started with God and all of a sudden you get so violent, you get so caught up in yourself, like Ash said about getting your financial gains in play. You don't want a Ferrari, you want a nice house. This is good stuff. I mean, good for fundamental. But where's the God in all this? Have you stopped to say thank you, Jesus, for the little food that's on our table? When last you prayed with your family? When last you had this moment, that interaction with God, to say, God, I thank you for this. Thank you for my husband. Thank you for my girlfriend. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for my boyfriend. I mean, even though he's the pain, but God, I still thank you because he's doing his part. Despite I can't stand his ways or I can't stand her ways. When last have you put this into action? And especially if you have children and so on, doing this prayer, doing this talk in front of them so they can acknowledge that God is in the midst of all of this. I think it's fundamental.
Yeah, I just even want to mention how, being devoted to God takes a certain amount of discipline. And if you're managing that, you can manage to have discipline within your relationship. If you're not devoted to God on any level, then I can't see you being devoted to another person, because ultimately the way you're going about life right now, not being devoted to God, suggests to me that you don't need God, for one, and two, you don't need anyone else. And whatever you get, whatever you have, is all sourced from you, which is absolutely not true.
Wow.
So that's why relationships, although they might last for like a couple years, there's going to have a lot of issues, or they might just break up and not last for as long as you want to, like lifetime, let's just say. It's because of that reason. And I'm saying this because I too waver with my faith. And I can say that not even a handful of times I've been in a relationship that was somewhat connected to God. I can't say for certain that's exactly what broke those relationships up, but it definitely contributed to it, because neither of us had control or discipline, as I mentioned, to be with one another and to understand that it takes a lot of forgiveness, and a lot of compromise and working together, trying to work it out, stuff like that. If we're not connected to God, obviously we're not really going to be caring about the relationship so highly as we would, a spiritual being such as God.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure for you guys to stop on in the studio today. Today our special Inside Studio panelist, of course, was Lady Ashley Bodden, right here from the Cayman Islands, and Josh Peart from the Cayman Islands as well, sitting in the studio today talking about the interest in relationship. So many things are happening with relationships today, but like we concluded just now, and before I actually rock out of here, I want to get their final thoughts. The persons listening, just real, quick nutshell. To persons who are out there struggling with their relationship, as to these are young people, should I say, very young people. As you heard, Josh, he's second time or first timer in a relationship, serious relationship, or so these are fresh people, in which is God is so ordained this that I'm in this position where, oh my God, I feel so blessed to be in the presence of these people, because who better to explore and give you wildest ideas than the young minds that I'm not saying that adult people doesn't have that kind of thing, but aspiring minds kind of think a lot more assertive, Not that older people don't, but with what's happening with technology and the new age and the new era and the new norm and all these kind of things, it's really to buzz on the minds of young people to really give you that aspect from their perspective. Hopefully the next time we get on air, we'll get a chance to speak with more adults, but let me get their final view. Josh, your final view on interest in relationships. Your suggestion, your final thoughts to, whoever out there that's listening.
I think that at all times in life, you should just do what you really and truly want to do. And if that means I feel like a lot of times people try to think about what they should do or what's right to do in a situation. And I think that you should try more to focus on what you really want and just move based off of that. And yeah, and if that means pushing through a hard situation, then push through. If that means leaving because that's what's best for you and that's where you think that you'll be happiest in the end, then do that.
Awesome. Lady Ash.
I would say that before getting in a relationship, it's ideal to get your thought process in order, as in what your goals are for a relationship. Now, if you want to date casually, then that's your thing. There's an entire group of people that are into that. If you're into something more where it's a long term and you want to be with someone to marry them and to grow old with them, then you really need to set your intention from the get-go. You can't just get with someone because they're cool or nice or they're pretty and then after the fact realize that that person doesn't have the same intention as you. What you need to do is set boundaries from the get-go. Understand, I'm coming into the dating world. I want to be in a relationship. These are my top 10 do's and don'ts for a relationship or for being with a partner. And you look for that and try not to settle and to stay firm to your beliefs, whether that be spiritual or otherwise, and stick to your boundaries as well. Because a lot of the times I've noticed, even in myself and others, that we settle. And life isn't about settling, because obviously if that's the case, then we wouldn't be progressing or evolving the way we do. Okay, we're in 2021. In the next 5 years, who knows, they're going to be flying cars and stuff. I don't know. But that's because the world doesn't settle. So just keep that in mind. And, even if you're in a relationship now, be vocal as to what those boundaries, what those goals are. And if they're not willing to put in the work, then you know what to do.
Intelligent. Very, very intelligent. Intuitivity, and more than anything else, the passion and the heart to speak about this with so much passion is my two exquisite panelists here today. Lady Ashley Borden, thank you very much for coming through, and Sir Josh Peart sitting inside studio today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a wrap, and we're going to be talking again. Yes, it's actually 30 minutes on the button. And we do appreciate your time for listening with us. And of course, if you have any comments, share your comments and your likes. Of course, if you have a topic out there you want us to discuss as it relates to nation building, family building, relationships, whatever, just put it towards us by our email, or you can send a text on our WhatsApp chat. On behalf of my entire production crew right here from Georgetown, Grand Cayman, this is Paul Llewellyn saying shalom, blessed day. Peace, y'all.